Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary ICS training. We put the link for the document that we're working from in the chat for the people who are watching this later. We'll make that available to you too. Let's just get right into it. Incident command system is it's a way of handling emergency situations, as it says here, that can be coordinated across multiple agencies and allows everyone to use the same language, operate within the same understanding of a chain of command, understand the goals and the plans that are being laid out, and making sure that there's not rogue agents freelancing. I'm a historian, so it's interesting to me, and hopefully to you too, that ICS was created in the late 1960s. There was a rash of wildfires in California, something we can relate to now, but it was unprecedented at the time, and firefighting units from all over came to be part of the response to that, and communication was kind of a mess. So coming out of that, the ICS system was created, and now that's part of a larger disaster response format that is organized by FEMA, and they have some other large-scale disaster responses, but we're going to be looking at the information that you would cover in ICS 100. Now, I do want to reiterate that this is not a substitute for that class, which is administered by FEMA off of their website, but we will be going over the jargon, the general picture of how ICS works ideally, and how it works in the context of what we do in Sanctuary. So scrolling down this document a little bit, it's talking about why we have ICS at Flipside. The event has grown from its origins in the late 1990s to something that it says here in the document, 3,000 participants. We are going to have quite a bit fewer than that, it looks like, for this event. But it's going to be a good chance for all of us to get our feet wet and remind the muscle memory of how this works. Similar to what I was talking about with those firefighters coming from all over, this is I'm looking in the chat question about if this is going to work for Sanctuary training. This is the Sanctuary ICS training that everybody needs to undergo. The ICS 100 class that I'm talking about is something that trees and MHAs will need to do to qualify for those roles. Yeah, perfect. So considering that there are so many people at Flipside, so many safety teams with their own pedigree and history and ways of doing things, ICS is a very useful tool for coordinating all these disparate elements into something that can be responsive to an emergency. And those emergencies in the parlance of ICS would be called incidents. As it says here, an incident is an unplanned situation necessitating a response. The document goes through a number of examples of what an incident might look like, especially in the context of Sanctuary, from mental health incidents to relationship concerns, excuse me, and a larger scale, weather-related concerns. We've definitely seen that before at Flipside. On the other hand, events as distinguished from incidents. An event is a planned situation. For instance, burn night, everything that goes into it. Flip side itself, some of the ancillary events like safety side or freezer burn would be considered events in the context of this. We're going to move on to a few key concepts, some of the jargon that I was talking about in terms of the incident command system. One of the most important elements of ICS is the concept of unity of command. And put simply, this means that everybody just has one boss. You're responding to and receiving instructions from just one person, so that we're not getting a lot of right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. The flow of information, the coordination of operational safety, a lot depends on that concept of unity of command. And we're going to come back to that a little bit and how that works in an actual example. Some more common terminology. We're talking about, let's see, tree as sanctuary shift lead. There is some, I wouldn't say controversy, but some disagreement as to whether tree is a useful term, considering that we are actually on an orchard at flip side, and it may be confusing in radio communication to talk about that. That's why I would, when using the radio, I would link them that to sanctuary tree. For one thing, that's going to hopefully make it through some of the static that may be on the radio. Single syllable words can easily get swallowed out there. The document mentions code orange vest. We'll be getting back to that. On the whole, we use plain speak at Flipside. And if you experience the radio training, you'll have the context for that. But one of the few jargon terms that we use is this code orange vest, which is a sort of all hands situation. And we'll come back around to that. Management by objective. This is another core concept in ICS. And incidents are managed by aiming towards specific objectives. If you find yourself in the situation of being incident commander, and we'll talk about how that happens, you're not trying to manage the entire situation or come up with solutions. You are looking at a sort of 5-minute horizon, trying to operate with the best information that you have and sort of building in a modular way the goal and the plan. On that note, one of the strengths of ICS is that it's flexible and modular. That is, it can expand, contract, get larger, get smaller based on the needs of the situation. Generally speaking, when a safety volunteer comes across a situation, they are de facto the incident commander, and things can sort of blossom from there, getting CACI involved, getting other safety teams involved. And then ideally, as the situation is handled and begins to wind down, ICS is built to contract in that way as well until the incident can be resolved. One other really important element of ICS is the concept of span of control. And this is related to the fact that the human mind can only handle so many things at once. And so specifically here, we're talking about the unity of command. that we were speaking about earlier. No one person in the ICS system should be responsible for more than 3 to 5 things. It kind of depends. There are different numbers in the literature, but generally as many fingers as you have on one hand is as many things or as many people that you should be supervising or trying to maintain a real-time control over. If you find in the context of ICS that the number of things that you are called upon to handle is exceeding that number, it's time to delegate and make one person who is on site responsible for the new elements, and then that person would be reporting to you. I'm looking at the incident action plans entry. This is the horizon that I was talking about, trying to handle the next thing, not necessarily getting paralyzed by trying to handle everything and all possibilities, but looking at what's happening and what can be done now. And having, I jumped over something earlier, this acronym of SMART for handling incidents and making plans. The plans should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So that 5-minute horizon that we're talking about, that covers the timely bit, making sure that we are handling what we actually can and not getting carried away with all the possibilities. There is a acronym in ICS called CFLOP that refers to the personnel that would be in leadership or operational roles in the event that a large-scale incident is called. C stands for commander. This is the incident commander, the person who is calling the shots in the situation. Like I said, not necessarily trying to control everything, but managing the response. The next letter in CFLOP would be for finance. This is a section chief who would be handling money. Generally, the timescale of events, or rather incidents at Flipside, is such that we don't often get the finance people involved, although that would be the AAR board member on duty. The actual would be the finance chief. The other officers are logistics, that is using the resources at hand to best approach the problem. Operations is the person who's actually implementing the plans, and planning is somebody who is able to take a step back from being in the thick of it and look at the bird's eye view and plan out a few steps ahead. Let's see, our document goes through the ranks and hierarchy of ICS. I don't think that we need to cover that, except in the sense that in Sanctuary, if there is a large-scale incident, then the tree is considered the shift lead for that. Is it a 6-hour span or an 8-hour span?
Tree is 12-hour.
Mm-hmm. So for that span of time, the tree is the chess master. I like that metaphor. The person who is moving the pieces on the board, the MHA, who is often the licensed duty chief for sanctuary, that person is more than likely going to be in the thick of things, whereas the tree should not leave physical sanctuary. It will depend on the nature of the situation, what the next layer up might be like. It might be the safety area facilitator who is calling the shots from there. It could be khaki. It could be whoever is on hand and has the expertise necessary to manage the response. But when we find ourselves in that situation, we do want to conduct ourselves with as much professionalism as possible. When ICS is activated on a large scale at Flipside, the usual culture of the thing needs to take a back seat.
There's no radical inclusion, and there's no freelancing, and there's no just being a good helper in an ICS. It's where do you fit in? And so if you go down to the next section, which is personnel, you don't have to remember all of these names, by the way. But where we are going to fit in is our tree is going to be the unit, team, or force leader. So down towards the bottom. And then individual sanctuarians are individual resources. And you are being told by the tree what the group supervisor, which is usually going to be our AF, is being told by the division and branch. So that's kind of the breakdown of where we are. The team or force leader is still over the MHA at that time. Like the MHA is just relaying information back to, this is what's needed, this is what, and then it's still unity of command, if that makes any sense.
Scrolling down, we talked about the LLC board member and how that person operates within a large-scale incident at Flipside. On the whole, they will be outward-facing, dealing with law enforcement, EMS, the media, God forbid. But the incident commander will be focused inward on the situation at hand, and the actual, that is the board member, will be interfacing with what we call the default reality. And that brings us to Code Orange Vest, which I've alluded to a couple of times. This is a situation where an incident has occurred of a scale that requires all safety volunteers who are awake, available, sober, and wearing their shirts. So if you do hear a Code Orange Vest being called, whether that's on your radio or if you happen to hear about it in your camp, something like that, if you are in a condition to join that kind of response, we do want you wearing your safety team shirt. Just for the visual of being able to perceive what resources we have in play. When a Code Orange Vest is called, the ICS box at the safety headquarters is activated. This has a lot of material in it. Some of it's listed here. One of the most useful things are the shiny vests that have the roles of CFLOP written on the back. which can be helpful in terms of our internal response, and also if things do escalate to the point where we are utilizing resources from outside the burn. This is a really good reason to be using something like ICS, because we can seamlessly integrate with emergency response if it comes to that. Let's see. Important notes include the radio channel. In order to distinguish the business of running the city from the business of handling an incident will often be given its own radio channel at the event. So that Khaki, that is the ranger shift lead, will be able to continue monitoring and managing the operation of Parapolis while the incident commander is handling things on the other radio channel. We already spoke a little bit about how the MHA will be giving updates to the tree, and the tree will be managing those resources. These terms here, duty chief and shift supervisor, those are helpful in terms of speaking across safety teams. We have things like tree and Khaki and digital, but if it comes down to it, we can use the terms like duty chief and not have to keep in mind all of the various specialized terms. But in this case, if that code orange vest status is given to an incident, in that case, the MHA functions as the duty chief, the tree is the shift supervisor, and as we said before, the listeners are the individual resources who might be called upon to join a perimeter, trying to make sure that a safe distance is maintained. We also, as Sanctuary, may be called upon to work with people who have just seen something traumatic. And so we have been working with the safety teams at large to have a clear idea of what Sanctuary's role in these things can be. But let's see. We talked about the shirt and having that sort of visual indicator of being in the mix and part of the solution. As a listener, if there is a large-scale event, then you will report to Physical Sanctuary. And as we've got here in sort of bold highlight, it's not helpful to go to the incident itself. This gets into what Marissa already referred to, alluded to, freelancing. And it's the kind of thing that will break down the communication and unity of command that ICS is predicated on. So we got reportable incidents. How will I know if I'm IC? So as we've been talking about, incidents can be on many different scales. And so generally speaking, let's say you are one of a pair of mobile sanctuary in the city, and you come across one of the incidents listed in the examples above. You are de facto the incident commander at this point. That sounds a little intimidating, but it just means that you are the person on site that has the best information, so that if things do need to escalate, there's already framework in place if it comes to that. If it's a really extreme situation and you need to clear radio traffic, you can just repeat break, break, break on the radio. And this is something that we covered in the radio training as well, but it's definitely worth mentioning here that most people will know to shut up and clear the radio channel if they're hearing break, break, break. This is making a reference to the idea that the incident commander is a manager, not a doer. And that's it's difficult for a lot of us who like to get in there and get their hands dirty. Delegation is not my strong suit. I've been working on it over the years, but that's the name of the game as the incident commander, is moving resources into place and not getting caught up in the sort of blinders psychological response of being in a really stressful situation. Let's see. Is talking about the misconception of the the incident commander must make every critical decision to manage an emergency. Again, you're delegating things as necessary.
So one of the things that I know I struggle with is I look at this, and having been in command of a mock incident at safety side, I'm like, I don't understand how to move things up and move things back down. Like, okay, I actually needed logistics, operations and planning in that incident, but I didn't have the skills, and I still don't know that I have them. And part of that is, well, then if I want those skills, then I can go to ICS 200, and which I'm doing, by the way, but I can go and get additional training, and those additional trainings then help me get those skills. This is ICS 100 is just a basic, very limited overview of what ICS is. And for the most part, with Sanctuary, if we come across an ICS event that requires 3 or more teams, and we have to call a code orange vest, then we're going to be able to hand stuff off. We do not have to stay IC. Sparky is the person that I would always hand stuff off to, because Sparky knows what the heck he's doing as a fireman. But we have tons, and we have firemen on our team, and so, you know, if you're looking at all this being like, I'm really overwhelmed.
And that's a good segue back into the document where it says the first step is breathing if you find yourself in this situation. We're looking at planning the horizon again and what needs to be accomplished in the next 5 minutes. There's
one of the things that I did forget to put on there, and I'm going to fix that, is my scene safe?
Yes. And I think that comes up a little lower, but this is something that definitely bears a lot of focus, because if you go headlong into a situation and get injured yourself, then you've compounded the problem. So it's always good to take a moment, breathe, and try to figure out what's going on. Some of the important considerations are, after is my scene safe? What do I have? What do I need? And who can I call? like we were saying, this is intimidating. It's kind of scary, but one thing to remember is that you're not alone, and that there is a very robust safety team. I'm looking at a question here. What do you do if you're seeing isn't safe? It would depend on the nature of the hazard, but say it's fire, you would definitely want to radio in and get the fire team moving, or let CAC know that you need to mobilize fire.
What do we need to do? What do we have?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need, and who can I call?
Mm-hmm.
So if we need to sit here and wait until other resources arrive, then we need to sit here. Hey, people are burning and on fire. Yes, because a booster just exploded and there's propane gas everywhere and the tower that it was on fell and it's on top of people. We are not running into that. We are waiting for the firemen to get here, and they are telling us how to run into that. We are letting them burn. I do not, that is above my skill level.
Another example would be if you're in a camp and it's clear that some of the tree limbs are compromised, then you're going to want to get some team like site ops out there, the people who can actually handle physical problems at that scale.
Or if there's a massive flood and there's only 3 areas of land, spots of land left on the property, I'm not jumping into the water and making myself another victim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see what resources do I need. Okay, well, we need a rope because we have to find a way for us to be able to safely get into the water and move across situations. What do I have? What do I need? What needs to be done? And who can I call?
Mm-hmm.
Did that help, Kate?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That brings us to transfer of command. As tempting as it is, you can't just throw command at somebody else. It does have to be a consensual transfer of power. But in the event that somebody comes on the scene who does have more extensive training or experience, then what you want to do is download all the information that you've amassed so far to that person, so that they have the best information going into making the next round of decisions. The document goes through the different safety teams. We've talked about rangers. Medical is also known as PETS. That's Pyropolis Emergency Team. We would talk about fire and site ops, and there's a lot of other ancillary departments. And I think that brings us down to the idea of freelancing. Now, again, this is an activity which is making decisions outside the chain of command. It can make things messy real fast. If the incident commander is making decisions based off information that isn't accurate because somebody has taken the initiative and is changing the facts on the ground, it can complicate things a lot. There is a note in here, but it is sometimes the person might want to take the initiative, but the key is to operate within the chain of command and to communicate what you're doing.
And so, like in general, we talk about flip side is a duocracy.
Mm-hmm.
If you think it should be done, do it. Duocracy. If you want it to happen, make it happen. Do it. Sanctuary is not a duocracy. If you want something to be different, you need to go up the chain of, well, I mean, you can go straight to the lead. You can come to me and tell me, hey, I want this to be different. And that's fine. Like, you don't have to go up the chain, but you don't just get to go, okay, well, I think that we need to do, like, change the format of Sanctuary, and I'm going to go out there and just have everybody on my shift move all of the shade structures. No, you tell me it didn't work, and then, and you know, if we can, we'll move it that year. Otherwise, we'll do it differently next year. So in general, Sanctuary is not a duocracy, safety is not a duocracy, and ICS is not a duocracy.
So getting down into the takeaway section. With ICS, there's less confusion, more accountability, and fewer chances for mishaps, adding to the chaos of the incident itself. And I think that really does sum up what the strengths and the focus of the incident command system exists to provide. And again, the most important questions are, is my scene safe? What's going on? What do I have? What do I need? And who do I tell? Again, you're part of a really big ecosystem of volunteers and protocols. And so in the thick of things, it can seem a little panicky, but there's a ton of backstop available to you if you do find yourself in that situation. So take a breath and communicate. And some of the other highlights are, if you are going to be part of a large scale response, to get your shirt and to go directly to Sanctuary. Other people may be barking orders, but it's the Sanctuary tree who's calling the shots for your tier. We've got a link at the bottom of this that goes to the FEMA site and gets you on the first steps toward getting ICS 100 certified. But are there any questions at this stage?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I did the ICS training on the FEMA website, but to do the certification, you have to have a student ID number.
I did see that. I need to go back and look because I was able to get my certification, so I'm not sure what I did to be able to do it. So it's telling you that in order to take the test.
Yeah, you have to have a student ID number.
Let me try that.
It looked like it may be something new this year. It said you can no longer like use your social security or something.
Okay, then I need to update the link on this. Yeah, I will research that a little bit.
Okay.
And it's on my list of things to do.
Cool.
Anything else? Any notions or observations?
It's unrelated, but I figure since I have you guys here, I can ask. Our badges and stuff, do we still have time to send in photos and shirt sizes and all that?
So the shirt sizes are ordered, and I'm crossing my fingers that I ordered enough. And so go ahead and send me a badge ID or a picture. And I will upload that to the document and we'll go from there.
Okay, is there a way to find out if we already have a photo uploaded?
If you did not send one to me, then I do not have a photo.
Word. Okay. Thank you.
Otherwise, you're gonna get a picture of a lamb on your lamb, and the name is gonna be something like KEWEC pie, or Sir Lamb-Salot, or if I don't have a picture, then you're gonna get a lamb.
You're
on your
making me
lamb.
want to not submit a picture.
Yeah, that was not helping, Marissa. I'm sorry. Marissa, could you please throw a picture in the garbage so I can get a lamb picture?
No,
Oh, well.
Anything else? Well, I really appreciate you giving your time to this. We are 1 week out, so I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. The weather is looking not horrible, so knock on wood. I don't want to jinx this.
One other question. If we've done the sanctuary, the training last Tuesday, and the trunk training is the last, that is the last thing left after radio?
there's also ground control and active listening.
Okay.
And so on the sanctuary, so on YouTube, it's under Pyropolis Sanctuary.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there's 2 active listening. One is the most recent, or there's 3 technically. 2 of them are the most recent one, but
Right.
it sounds like there's double audio. There's one from 2019 that doesn't have that, so they're almost the exact same. Just one, I'm gonna see if I can fix the audio. I don't have those skills unless somebody happens to have them.
Okay. So ground control, this radio, and then trunk. And so the only thing, if you've done ground control and active listening and radio and this, then the only thing left is the trunk training, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. When do we take the quiz that was already sent? Is that just for active listening and ground control?
I mean, take it whenever. If
Okay.
it kind of covers most of it. It's just kind of my, hey, were you guys paying attention?
Gotcha. I just wasn't sure if it covered everything or just that training. That was the
Just trunk, ground control, and active listening.
got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Alrighty, I think we're good to go.
Yeah,
Thank you, Gunther. James, appreciate that.
yeah. We will see you out there. Stay safe. And until then.
Too late
Thank
for
you so
staying safe,
much.
but I'll try.
Safety third.
Thanks, everybody.
Definitely.
Night,
All right.
guys.
See you guys out there. I'm excited.
So am I.
Hasta luego.
Adios.